15 years behind bars. That's the sentence that was handed down to former Vanderbilt University football player Brandon Banks.
News Channel 5's Kimberly Davis was in court and explains how this wasn't an unexpected sentence for the prosecution.
Brandon Banks is just one of 3 men convicted in the Vanderbilt rape case, and this morning he learned his fate when the judge handed down a 15-year sentence.
I believe that the proper sentence is 15 years for count 3, 8 years for count 6.
15 years is the minimum sentence, but it's a sentence the prosecution will accept after the words read from the victim's statement rang throughout a silent courtroom.
Mr. Banks chose to leverage his status as an athlete to go on a national tour, giving speeches about himself and rape while his 7 felony charges against me were pending.
A decision the victim was clearly against, but his father took the stand as a character witness to explain why his son decided to go on that college tour.
This was about Brandon understanding that that this situation could have some redemptive, redeeming value. And so he tried to make the best of what was the worst situation he'd ever been in.
Back in June, Banks was found guilty of aggravated rape and aggravated sexual battery. Tyrone White invited Banks to go on the college tour and says he explained how his life decision has not only impacted his life, but his family's lives too.
And it was hard for him to collect himself, and also he shared with one of the audiences that after this situation took place, his sister stopped speaking to him.
Along with the 15-year sentence, Banks will have to remain on the sex offender registry for the rest of his life. Though the victim was not physically in court today, prosecutors made sure her voice was heard.
Physically, no, she wasn't here, but in every other sense of the word, she was, and she's always with us.
I'm Kimberly Davis, News Channel 5.
Jaborian Tip McKenzie is the 4th and final defendant in this case. The prosecution says they will now focus on his trial.